Hello and welcome everyone to the 5G Factor. I'm Ron Westfall, Research Director here at the Futurum Group. And today I will be honing in on the major 5G ecosystem developments that have quite simply caught my eye. And today's focus will be on 5G innovation, especially with Mobile World Congress up on the horizon here, in late February, something we're all looking forward to, and what these emerging innovations can do in terms of benefiting the 5G ecosystem in 2024 and beyond. So, with that, I'm going to jump right in. And to start with the first area that I think is interesting, I'll table set my perspective, and that is going to be on digital twins as a service, or I'll refer to it as DTaaS, as shorthand. And this is something that has been brewing for a little while. And digital twin technology has been around for a while. It certainly has proven very effective in areas such as industrial applications and for that matter across many different industries, and now it's time, I believe, for mobile networks to also benefit more directly from digital technology, digital twin technology, with digital twins as a service in particular, I think, playing a key role. And as a new delivery model of digital twin functions, DTaaS can provide services for a variety of users, as well as naturally the mobile operators, vertical industries, institutions, government agencies, and more. Basically, anybody who's participating in the 5G ecosystem. And for starters, I believe it can eliminate the need for users to deploy a local digital twin network system independently. That is, go through the expense, the resources to set a digital twin up. And this is something that has gotten better. There's definitely been improvements in how to streamline the implementation, but it's an extra step that some organizations either cannot really afford on the one hand, or quite simply using digital twin as a service can streamline the entire process of getting digital twins on board to improve your overall network. And as such, yes, it can reduce the overhead associated with maintenance costs as well as system complexity, and it's being featured increasingly by the ability to extend security and cost effectiveness as well. And as we know, security is a prime driver in decision making for the entire digital ecosystem, and 5G networks are no exception. And I think specifically it can enhance innovation efficiency for the mobile networks by promoting technical evolution and development, as well as quite simply raising the self intelligence level, as well as improving the quality and also areas that are important, such as improving energy efficiency and naturally reducing costs. Now, when considering twin building capabilities, service openness is certainly something that's going to be important. And recently, specifically, ZTE in a white paper that was released in Q4 of 2023 proposed a double closed loop digital twin as a service architecture that includes the physical networks, that is the part of the network that is laid out into the open green fields and brown fields out there, as well as a one digital a twin closed loop, that is for virtual reality closed loop, and that is something that is emulating what the physical network is doing. So why I think this is important is that you definitely need to combine both of them. You have to have both a closed loop for naturally the physical network that's been deployed, that is being upgraded, as well as its virtual emulation, and being able to combine both of them to have optimal outcomes from using digital twin technology, certainly DTaaS. Now, to again emphasize, when it comes to the physical network, that provides the API interfaces for the twin network to collect data and activate the configuration and capability calls from the twin network. As such, the digital twin network, which is the core of the entire architecture, is divided into three critical layers: the service layer, the application layer, and the network layer. Now, when building on the overall architecture, this is something that ZTE is suggesting can benefit from having 9 callable microservices inside the service layer of the digital twin. And this includes twinning basic capabilities, twinning advanced capabilities, future open prototype network capabilities, as well as user invocation methods. And so, specifically, how this is going to make a difference is that for different scenario requirements, users can use an app that integrates various microservices through a natural user interface or directly call microservices that can carry atomic capabilities through an API interface. And what I like about the natural user interface aspect is that this is bringing our friend AI also into play. And so, naturally, AI can definitely play a role in terms of improving digital twin capabilities, but also, as we see, it's already having an impact with mobile operators in areas such as improving call center efficiencies, improving overall service support, but also, stay tuned, it's going to have an impact on the networks themselves in terms of improving O&M capabilities, advancing automation, and so forth. And certainly, digital twin technology would fall under that umbrella. And so, what I think is helpful is that currently DTaaS is already being deployed in China in different regions, as well as for different use cases. And that includes ports as well as high speed railways. And that is actually being used to enhance, again, the network planning efficiency, as well as reduction in subsequent optimization costs. And so, it's getting kicked off in China, but clearly it can have implications for the rest of the world. I can anticipate that there will be adoption in North America and in Europe, as well as Mideast, Southeast Asia, etc. And so this is something that will, I believe, drive the innovation that's so important to the 5G ecosystem, because as we understand, the operators are searching for ways to quite simply make 5G monetization more tangible, as well as simply accelerating it. And so that is, I think, one key area of innovation. Now I'll turn to a second area that has jumped out at me. And that is, I'm going to shine the spotlight on the multi-G initiative that started in Q2 of 2023. And as background, specifically, Cohere Technologies, Intel, Juniper Networks, Mavenir, and VMware, now part of Broadcom, got together to develop the industry's framework for a multi-generational, or again, multi-G, software-based Open RAN architecture. Now, we definitely have addressed Open RAN on several of our webcasts. And so now is the time, I believe, to look at why the multi-G framework can make a positive impact. And for one, the multi-G initiative would define, again, the frameworks, but also the interfaces, interoperability testing, and evaluation criteria that would provide the all important interfaces to support full coexistence of 4G, 5G, and very importantly, future waveforms. And to basically provide a foundation here, as I see, Intel's FlexRAN platform is used by most current virtualized RAN deployments, or quite simply vRAN. Now, in addition, Mavenir has a strong presence in providing Open RAN equipment and software, as well as Juniper Networks and VMware are both contributing their work with the RAN Intelligent Controller, or RIC. And this is something that has gained more prominence, I believe, from, for example, HPE's proposal to acquire Juniper Networks for $14 billion, as well as finally the just completed merger between Broadcom and VMware. And also critical to this is Cohere's contribution, which is through its Universal Spectrum Multiplier software that can be integrated by RAN vendors or as an app into a telco cloud platform. And what I think is critical here is that Intel's involvement in this initiative is significant, because it's quite simply the company that is enabling the deployment of FlexRAN. And again, it's the dominant way for vRANs to be implemented today and into the foreseeable future. And as a result, I believe it can also put Intel a step ahead of rivals such as Qualcomm, ARM, and AMD that are now aggressively targeting the Open RAN silicon market. And as we know, Open RAN is making progress. We saw, for example, the significant deal between Ericsson and AT&T for $14 billion over 5 years, as well as announcements coming out of Europe, for example. Vodafone, for example, is continuing apace with its build out of Open RAN, as well as other partnerships that are driving this. However, as we know, Open RAN is only a single digit portion of the overall RAN market, at least in 2024, and it hasn't quite taken off as originally anticipated by many observers. And from my view, I believe that it was going to be something that was going to require hold handing, at least in the nascent stages, the beginning stages, between at least the top tier telcos as well as their existing partners. And thus, that's what we saw with the Ericsson AT&T deal. Now, in terms of the greenfields, I've touched on this before. As we know, when it comes to networks such as Dish, as well as 1&1, they've committed to the Open RAN framework naturally. However, it's going to take them more time to quite simply get it ready for prime time on a enduring and scalable basis. And so hopefully we'll see progress in that regard in 2024. Now, back to the multi-G framework. What it would do is disaggregate RAN intelligence and scheduling functions, enabling future code releases of Intel's FlexRAN reference architecture to support higher capacity, software-defined deployments for 4G, 5G, and next generation waveforms and standards. Now, as such, I see this effort would help drive higher performance, which is something that has to be built into it, as well as connectivity. And this is also critical across satellite, private networks, as well as ad hoc networks, like we see at sporting events, for example, as well as autonomous vehicles. And all this can quite simply potentially increase new service and revenue opportunities for the operators. And I already touched on, why 5G monetization is essential. Now, also, this initiative is going to make the network programmable all the way from layer one to the highest layers of the mobile architecture. And as such, for Open RAN to truly achieve its full vision, it needs to open the E2 interface, because that's where the innovation is going to flow from, I anticipate. And in a nutshell, because all the complexity in the ecosystem is basically concentrated in what is the E2 interface proposition, this has to basically unlock, more innovation across the mobile ecosystem. That is, it's a critical barrier that needs to be overcome, not just for Open RAN to become more mainstream, but also open 5G networks in general. And basically, the E2 interface works by tapping into near real-time XApps running in a RIC to monitor and optimize an operator's RAN deployment. And typically, that's either a vRAN or an Open RAN, moving forward, as we've seen with some of the Open RAN developments that have occurred over the last quarter, and as well as across naturally the different spectrum bands. Now, this in turn allows an operator to support more stringent SLAs and also advanced private network deployments that can quite simply achieve those all important revenue objectives as well as diversification. As a result, from my perspective, a positive indicator is that the major operators, such as Vodafone, Bell, and Telstra, are already on board for the multi-G initiative. And that's going to prove a difference in terms of advancing not only the performance and capacity benefits that are built into the effort, but it's also going to benefit the entire mobile ecosystem, basically all cellular networks. And as such, I anticipate that it will also assist, the publication of the critical interfaces into closely relevant and adjacent industry bodies such as the ORAN Alliance and naturally the TIP working groups. And this segues, I believe, into the third area that I would like to emphasize in terms of what's going on with 5G innovation. And that is looking at Wind River and its Wind River Studio platform and the integral role it's playing in terms of 5G virtualized network evolution. Now, as some foreground, Wind River is a firm that delivers software for mission critical intelligence systems. So, yes, they address certainly the mobile ecosystem, but they also play in other key industries such as software defined vehicles and so forth. Naturally, I'll be focusing on how they approach the mobile network industry in particular. And one thing that I thought was important was in Q3 of 2023, NTT DOCOMO is using the Wind River Studio to advance its 5G virtualized network deployment, which basically became commercialized again in that time frame. And for the launch of NTT DOCOMO's first vRAN commercial service, the role that Wind River Studio cloud platform is playing is the integration with Fujitsu's a virtualized central unit, as well as naturally its virtualized distributed unit, with the latest NVIDIA converged accelerator. So again, the ecosystem play is vital. Now we're seeing Wind River, Fujitsu, and NVIDIA coming together to really provide critical impetus to NTT DOCOMO's all-important vRAN deployment. And in addition, Studio Cloud Platform is providing that cloud native Kubernetes and container based architecture that is based on open source software, again, aligning with Open 5G, as well as it's playing a key role for the development, the deployment, and also the operations in terms of servicing distributed edge networks at scale. And that's the important point. It's not just simply being able to implement it, but it has to be able to scale into, well, the foreseeable future. And that has been something that's been a contributing factor to, some delays and kicking the tires for vRAN and Open RAN deployments. I also see the industry is moving toward vRAN and Open RAN. I touched on that already, but this can also provide benefits in areas such as network flexibility and scalability, as well as reducing deployment and maintenance costs. And such, I anticipate that it will again be able to seed in terms of what other operators can do with their Open RAN implementations at the critical opening stage. Now, Wind River, by working with proven experts like Fujitsu and NVIDIA, is enabling NTT DOCOMO to quite simply already have commercial level feature support and quality that can help transition and basically accelerate their innovation efforts to meet, quite simply the demands of their customers. And that is both naturally on the commercial side, but also on the consumer side. And so this is something that I will definitely be keeping a close eye on is, the role that Wind River Studio Technology is playing in terms of advancing not just, the vRAN Open RAN deployments out there, but also boosting that all critical innovation, especially as we're, going into Mobile World Congress 2024. And with that high note, I appreciate everybody joining the 5G Factor. I always appreciate our viewing and listening audience to hop on. And naturally, please bookmark the 5G Factor for not only today's webcast, but also future ones, which will include, various I would say speakers that also can provide very insightful perspectives. And with that, thank you, everyone, and have a good 5G day.